So welcome. Let's set the scene for tonight. Are you ready? But picture this. You're out with your dog in public, let's just say, and you ask for something simple that you know your dog knows. Like it might just be a sit or look at me or turn away. There, you just see a distraction coming. You know what's happening. Tell your dog something easy that you know they know. And then you start to feel it. Right? You know that feeling. The pause gets longer and longer, and the public eyes are starting to turn to you and look, and you repeat the cue. Maybe your voice gets nicer. Maybe you start that high pitch, like, please, please sit. Please, would you do this? This would be great. And maybe you get really louder, or like I've heard people do it. I do not know how this happens. They do all three at once, or higher pitch, louder. And inside you're just melting, right? And your brain just goes. So here's the problem. A lot of training advice in that situation sounds like this. Be more consistent. Or if they know it, just wait them out. Like, that'll be good. Make them do it. That's a really popular one for people. But that advice assumes your dog is capable of learning and listening in that moment. None of it helps when your dog's already overwhelmed. And most of the time, when you're giving a cue that your dog ignores, we know, those of you that are returning, the setup has already failed. So your dog didn't fail, the setup did. So tonight, not about fixing your dog, it's just noticing what's already working with them or against them. So if your dog fails, we usually look at that dog and say what happened. But tonight we're going to look at the setup. So welcome to Pause and Success. I'm Heather Furby. I am a lead trainer, behaviorist, owner of Casa Luna Canines and Pause and Success, and we're here to learn. So I have a master's degree in human canine relations, which is the fancy schmancy way of saying I speak dog, and my mission is to help other people speak dog so that we can really learn to understand what our dogs are going through, get away from cues, commands, and obedience training, outdated corrections, get into really understanding your dog. That's our mission with Pause and Success and Casa Luna Canines. So what do I mean by setup? Let's go here. So setup, it's really easy. It breaks down into 3 buckets. I apparently love the word buckets. I don't know. If any of you have a suggestion, type it in. What's another thing? 3 pillars, 3 sections. I just like my buckets because I like to throw stuff in buckets. So it comes into 3 buckets: environment, timing, and structure. So you can write those down. You can listen to this replay. We'll be on YouTube. So there's a key distinction in setup, that setup doesn't equal the training skill. Setup is about the conditions that make learning possible. So I always have to put on my geek hat. This is where I'm going to go into science behavior, only one term. The setup is also what we call antecedents. And antecedents is a crazy, silly word for something or thing or an event that existed logically before another, precedes another event. Just, it's antecedent, it happens before. In behavior, though, we always talk about it like, well, what's the setup? What's the antecedent behavior consequence? Just think about the setup. What's happening before your dog does their actions or before they react? So let's break it down just a little bit. Environment, timing, structure. So we look at environment. It's look at where you're training. What's competing for your dog's attention? And I mean anything that is competing for your dog's attention. Sights, sounds, smells, you, other dogs, movement, like that darn squirrel that always runs out. But, we give squirrels a really bad time. So let's pick on another animal. How about pigeons? Those pigeons, pesky pigeons. They fly in, they move, they're super sexy, just like sexy as a squirrel. These pigeons, lizards, all those things come in. Those are the things with rapid movement. Movement gets dogs a lot. So we think about all of those things that come in. Okay, we're going to leave our little pigeon friend behind for a minute, but that's the environment. And we got to think the environment naturally trains your dog faster than you. So just know that that's the case. It's not that you failed. It's not a bad setup. It's just we got to know that the environment is something your dog will naturally respond to much faster than you, because it's called biology. So let me go into timing. So timing is not just what you ask your dog, but when you ask your dog to do it. So we've got to think about antecedents, what's happening before we ask our dog to do something. Are they able to pay attention? Are they paying attention? Can they actually do the thing you want them to do? Like, are they physically capable, or are we asking an older dog to sit or down and they're like, ow, it hurts. I don't like that. Or my stomach hurts. I don't want all that kind of stuff. Do they feel safe enough to do the thing you're asking them to do? Those are all things we talk about timing. So it's not just what you ask, it's when you ask. Are they paying attention? Can they do it? Do they feel safe enough to do it? Those are good leading questions to ask ourselves. Then we get into structure. So how much support, clarity, predictability the dog has, kind of what's the history of the dog. This is where all the prior training and your dog's confidence, their association with grit, their physical and emotional state all come in. So that's where we get into the setup. We look at environment, timing, structure. You guys got this. So in those three setups, environment, timing, structure, it's where we humans can get in our own way. And I don't mean that we fail. It's where we can fall apart because our human brains work differently than dog brains. And we just have to accept that that's a fact. We're both driven by emotion, but we're also driven by past and future experiences that may or may not have happened. Dogs aren't as affected by that. So what we look at is where this can fall apart. So we look at an environmental mismatch. That's calm practice. Like we may have a calm practice, meaning we hope the dog wants to be calm, but our expectations are rather chaotic. Like we didn't set it up correctly. There's squirrels, lizards, pigeons, they're all running around. We have this expectation of being calmly walking through it, like we've seen on the videos, and we're just imperfect, but the environment is chaotic. Well, that's a big mismatch. And that's often where we talk about living room success does not equal sidewalk success. It usually equals sidewalk disappointment. And that's because dogs, we're going to talk about this a little bit more, but I repeat it over and over, dogs learn contextually. So because they perform in the living room or in a quiet environment, that is great. We need that. We need it. We need it. You cannot skip that set. But it doesn't mean that they automatically can perform it out of doors. Sports analogy, we practice. We practice sports. We watch tapes. We analyze ourselves. Depends on what level you're in. But we don't just expect to go out and play the sport. We have to practice. We have to get in shape. We have to learn to move. We do that not while people are chasing us down, trying to steal our little ball that we're running with or we're about to hit over a net. We have to practice before we get into the game. So that's exactly what we have to do with dogs. And I swear it works. It's just we humans want to speed things up very quickly. So that's what we call environmental mismatch, that the living room success often leads to sidewalk disappointment. And again, it's not because dogs are failing, they're overwhelmed. So where we look at ourselves is in this environment mismatch is that we've trained maybe the behavior or action, but we didn't train to the environment. So think about that for a minute. If there's a situation that you're thinking about that you go, oh yeah, I trained the thing, but not in that environment, or I didn't train to distraction environment. We'll talk about what to do in just a little bit, but you trained the behavior action, you didn't train the environment. So that's where we call environmental mismatch. Then we get into timing. And our timing can just be timing is too late. Usually after arousal has reached a certain level, we call it tipped. I call it their brain went wacky. There's lots of things that can happen, but they're in over arousal state. And what we end up doing as humans is just repeating the cue over and over and over, repeat it louder, higher, whatever it is, but instead of reading what else is going on. So it's our timing is off. And it's not that our timing has to be perfect. I promise you, a perfectly timed cue can still go amok if the dog is about to reach their threshold level. Basically, if you're repeating the cue, the moment has passed. That's really hard for us to get because I go, yeah, but what am I supposed to do? Stay with me because we are going to get to what am I supposed to do. But if you're repeating the cue, the moment has passed. It means that something went amok in the environment and it's not your fault. Where it becomes our failure, I hate that word, but it becomes our chaos, becomes our craziness when we just repeat the cue over and over and over, and then we train in lovely disobedience because they learn that our snaps and voices and everything doesn't matter. Okay, so stay with me. So we got environmental mismatch. Maybe our timing is too late. By the time we're repeating cues, moments passed. We gotta start over. We gotta reset up the whole situation. Doesn't take as much as what you think it does. And then the third piece is with this, the structure is that we often assume transfer. So this is what I was talking about, generalization, is that just because they know it doesn't mean they know it here and now. Dogs learn in pictures, not principles. Like they don't take everything in and go, that is a really good, valid point that I should act this way because then I get a treat. They take it in and go, ah, a car went by, I look at mom or dad, a treat gets delivered to my mouth. It's the whole setup. And that's why I use this over and over and over. That same thing as the bowl setup when you feed. And I can hold my bowl and my dog sits nicely. And I can tell them to do anything and they will perform all the tricks and put the bowl down. They will wait nicely. And then I release them. But I go outside and they won't sit. They won't listen. They will nothing, even with that same bowl of food. And it's because the entire environment is the setup. It's the, the kitchen, the clinking, the sound, the fact that you went to the pantry or you went to your drawer, you opened a can, you heard the scoop of food go in. It's the entire picture is the setup becomes part of the cue. So hard for us humans because we're like, look, I said it, but I said it not after I opened the drawer. So we need to become, I say this in classes all the time, consistently inconsistent, meaning change up that pattern. Don't be quite so predictable. We help our dogs learn to be a little bit more fluid. I don't mean you change it up so drastically that they don't know what sit is. I'm changing up a little bit of the timing. I'm going to stand with my back to the dog before I put down the food. I'm going to clip the leash, unclip the leash, clip the leash back on before I go on a walk. I'm going to put my jacket on and then not go anywhere. We're just mixing it up for our dog to say, stop predicting what you think is going to happen and then predicting all the anxiety that's going to happen with it. That's where we say we assumed the transfer, which means your dog didn't generalize the behavior. You assumed they would generalize the behavior. And I mean this honestly with love and compassion. If you've worked with me, there is no blame, shame, guilt, anything in training. It's just we unknowingly set our dogs up for this because we didn't think of the whole picture. And so dogs don't generalize naturally in our world. They are very contextual. And that is the key to why obedience alone doesn't work and why so many trainers out there resort to tools that cause harm or pain or fear to get the result they need because they're not willing to take the time to look at the setup, or maybe your dog hasn't generalized to learn, oh, sit means sit anywhere we are, not because I made them sit, but because I practice. I learned to do, I don't know, a corner kick in soccer because I practice it over and over, not just because I know how to kick a ball straight and then I assume it's just going to curve and go into the goal, right? Like it's just practice. And I think we deny our dogs practice a lot. And we turn it into train. So this isn't about training. It's just looking at the setup and going, hey, am I set up for success? And, my dog did well yesterday, not well today. So then we've got to look at, well, what happened? Where's the timing and the overload that happened? So we look at environment, timing, structure. Then we look at an environmental mismatch. Maybe your timing was too late, and we assumed the transfer of knowledge, which is the structure, rather than teaching them that things fall apart. The thing that falls apart a lot with human brains and structure is that we don't take into account the other stuff of our dogs, right? What mood is your dog in? Did they get enough sleep? Are they in pain? I don't know, did that ear infection they had last week flare up again and I'm not aware of it? They still overwhelm. So I can overwhelm you with all the pieces, but we don't think back very far with dogs. We kind of think in the present moment, where our human brains are going forward and back, and dogs are thinking in the present moment, but they still carry a lot of stuff. So we got to look and go, hey, what state is my dog in? And this is not a long analysis. This is very quick where you look and go, hey, I'm going to go for a walk. Anything out there? No? All right. Is my dog calm? Yep. Let's go out. Oh, they're not calm. Let's go back inside. All right, let's try that again. We're going to play a couple games. Now I'm going to go out. Oh, they're a lot calmer. Now they're with me. I see that pigeon come by. My dog got distracted. He looked. I go, oh, good for you for noticing, but come on back with me. So it's a fluid thing. It's not like there's this checklist that I got to go, did we get everything right? Because that's not what it's about. It's this fluidness of saying, oh, a squirrel went by. Oh, 8 squirrels went by, and some wild turkeys, and a fox, and okay, that's too much. Now I'm going to go in. But 1 squirrel, 2 squirrels were good. I walk for a while. I'm noticing my dog. Are they with me? And yes, they're still with me. Good. Then let's go a little farther. One of the things we do, obviously, when we're talking about loose leash walking, is that we tend to spend our entire walk going out, and then we have to turn around and come home, and our dog's on overwhelm by the time we get out because we didn't shut it down because we were so excited. I mean, I do this. So excited that my dog's finally listening to me. We're not getting pulled off. My shoulder's still attached. I'm going to go another mile. Perfect. But now 2 miles in, my dog can't make it 2 miles back. So we fall apart coming back. And now I've practiced falling apart as opposed to a successful walk. In trainer world, when you're a trainer, behaviors, when you're actually working with dogs, we call it trainer greed. Because we're always trying to want more. And we all do it. It's not just dog owners. It's dog trainers. It's behaviors. We all try to get that one more rep. And then we go, I knew I'd get this. So that's okay. So that's the assumed transfer that we make, which is the problem with the structure, is we don't actually do structure as well as we think we do. All right, so now, neat, Heather, what am I supposed to do about it? All right, so how do we fix this setup without more training? Because that's a lot of what we do is more training. And training gets to be a lot for our dogs. Even the smartest dogs we've got, if we overtrain, it just gets boring or it gets intense because they're always having to learn something new. And a lot of that's fun for a lot of dogs. Learning is fun. Then we also have to say, but it's nice to have the routine. Because I can settle into the routine. I just know where something is. I don't have to figure it out. So we've got to balance that. So fixing setup is not necessarily adding more training. So how do we do this quick? Can they win? So we got to look at, is the environment familiar enough? And is this environment familiar enough? Question 1. And then we're asking, is my dog calm enough to think? So we have that. And then have we practiced this before? Or was it a variation of this? And if it's a variation, it's fine. You don't have to change everything, but we just have to know maybe there's something different in this environment my dog's not used to, and that's what they're reacting for or to. So is this environment familiar enough? Which when we start practicing, we're in that level 1 environmental distraction, familiar, indoor, familiar. We go outdoor, familiar, distractions in the distance, distractions get closer for environmental level 3. Environmental level 4 is distractions are kind of right with us. 5 is we can't control the environment. Most meltdowns happen, I can tell you this, after being in this for 20 years, most meltdowns happen when we're in a level 5 environment and expecting a little too much of our dog because they did it fine in level 1, 2, 3. We kind of skipped over 4 because we weren't really clear about it. We got to the real world and we can't control everything. So we tend to push our dogs just a little too far and ask them to compete in the real world when they're not ready for it yet. And I've got stories about that. I don't want to go overboard, but at the end, we can talk about stories like that because there's a lot of, when I work with service dogs, special service therapy dogs, they're great in their setting when they're working, and then they get off and they're like crazy mofos out there. So we have tons of stories of when this falls apart. So anyway, we look at that and say, have we practiced this version before? So is the environment familiar enough? Is my dog calm enough to think? That's a tricky one because your dog may be able to think in high arousal. My dog I'm not thinking high arousal. Soon as there's a little bit of a distraction, she flips. And so I've got to be real careful about what's around, because we'll be great and then suddenly the arousal goes off and we're done thinking. So it depends on your dog. So is your dog calm enough in that moment to think? And then have we practiced this version before? And if it's not this, is there another setup I can do real quick to remind my dog, hey, you know these skills, now let's go to this new setting. So simple tweaks we can do. If the answer is no to any of those, we have to change the setup. What do we do is, number one, distance. Distance, distance, distance. Distance is your best friend. It's not failure. You want to create distance between your dog and the thing your dog is reacting to. So I tell a lot of people, just turn around and walk the other way, and they go, but that's not helping my dog learn to get used to it. I'm like, no, it's helping your dog make itself safe. A colleague just came out with a thing today saying, what's your dog's chocolate cake? And what's your dog's favorite thing? But that favorite thing that they will ignore in stress. And that's what we talk about all the time. I don't care how high value a treat, you give steak and champagne, but if you're doing it in the presence of spiders and snakes and cockroaches for me, I'm not going to eat that. And you give me cake in the face of a fire, not going to eat the cake. Don't care. It's my favorite food. I'm getting out of there first. So we create distance to help our dogs feel safe. The other thing is to shorten sessions. Distance, shorten sessions. Leave on a success. Try not to push your dog for that one more thing. Don't be me. So you push your dog a little bit more and we have failure, or fallout or stress. So leaving your dog on a success. Bring them back in, shorten your session. When we're training new dogs or highly reactive dogs, my sessions are 30 seconds. That's how short. Not short like 8 to 10 minutes or even 2 to 3 minutes. 30 seconds, 45 seconds. That's a success. I want my dog, just like when we're working out, like I'm back at the gym, I lift, and I have the greatest trainer, and he's like, how many did you do? I was like, feel like a failure because I'm used to being an athlete, and I did 10, and it sucks, and I hate it. He's like, yeah, good for you. I was like, oh, you're so dumb. I could do more, but I also love that he's praising me, and I get to end the session going, hey, you know what, next time I could probably bust out 15 or 2 reps at 10 or something like that. So he leaves me feeling so positive that I'm willing to go back. Whereas if he kicked my butt so much that I couldn't move and I was frustrated and just felt like a failure, probably not going to go back to the next session. Our dogs are very similar. So farther from distractions, shorter sessions, ask earlier for what you want. Get them in the thing of, you're going to go out, you're going to ask for nose touch, sit down, start early. So ask earlier, not louder, if that makes sense. So just start the patterns early as soon as you head out. And then lower your criteria temporarily. This doesn't mean quit. This just means adjusting your training in the moment. That is coaching. That is the essential piece of what we're doing in training. So lower the criteria temporarily, meaning head back to a place. We do all three together. We create a little distance, make it a little shorter. I ask earlier, so I go back to the beginning of the door, ask my dog to do stuff, and then I continue on my walk. So, and it might be temporarily, might mean, oh, today's not the day for a walk, let me go on inside. So it just means lower the criteria, set your dog up for success, get a win, call it quits, and then try again. And trying again may be 30 seconds, a minute, it may be a day, it may be 2 days. Depends on your dog. And so that's for you and your dog, figure that one out. Ask questions about, later when we talk about resilience and how to know when your dog's reset, that's something different. So it's not about lowering standards, it's building reliability in a very smart way. Okay, so let's put this into real life so we can finish up. So one of the most common things I'm asked all the time, loose leash walking. It's crazy. There's so many things that go on in the leash. So we walk it through. You go outside, the dog's pulling, barking, sniffing, lunging, whatever. So first we look at ourselves. Here's what the human thinks went wrong. I mean, if you have more examples, please type them in. But often it's a dog's lunging to another dog, and we go, oh, he just gets so excited, right? Wants to say hi. Or he doesn't like other dogs. He's reactive, or he's protective. So we put these labels on our dog. He's being stubborn. He's dominant. He's just being a jerk today. Or, this came out of nowhere. What happened? I don't even understand. My dog out of nowhere bit another dog or lunged out of nowhere. Then we get into more subtle excuses that I hear people say with human thought. He obviously needs more exercise. He needs to practice this more. So I'm going to keep taking him out into the same environment over and over and over till he gets it because he needs more practice, more exercise, more practice. And then, of course, we blame ourselves. Why can't my dog just be normal? What did I do? What did I fail? None of it means you or your dog failed. But what's the name of this? Your dog didn't fail. The setup did. So what we want to look at is, what was the setup? Was it distance? Did I let my dog get a little too close to something before I asked for a different behavior? Maybe they were fixating long before the dog approached. Was I on the phone and not really paying attention because I was having fun doing something and just my dog was cool and I just missed a lot of cues? Happens. Again, no blame, shame, guilt. Just happens, but oopsie, my fault. Maybe I saw something and I cranked up on that leash a little bit. Started pulling a little because I know my dog's going to tug, so I'm going to pull up a little bit more. So what did I do? I cued my dog early that something's about to happen. So maybe I cranked up on the leash, I froze, something I did. And then, have I worked with my dog in enough things? You've heard me say this if you worked with me. We want to teach our dog that the world is white noise, not my circus, not my monkey, whatever. How many ways we can say that? It's not my horse to saddle. Lots of headlines, get to the front page, you buried the lead, all those kinds of things. What I want to teach my dog, have you worked with him enough to say, I'm the monkey. Notice me, I'm your circus, I'm your monkey. I'm the front page. I'm the horse, the saddle. I could kick that till it's done. But what I'm trying to do is, teach the dog, not yours. I'm the monkey. Definitely your monkey right now. So I have to show my dog that I'm the most rewarding thing to be around. I'm not this unpredictable, crazy thing that sometimes I serve food, sometimes I crank the leash, sometimes I yell at you, sometimes I just yell, sit, sit, sit. I go, no, I'm your monkey because I'm fun to be around. Like, I'm the best value on the planet because we play, because we're together. So that's where the setup fails, is that we didn't look at all this stuff. We haven't worked with our dog enough to show them consistently, I'm the one to trust because I am stable enough in this world. You do not need to be perfect. Most dogs, very resilient, and they're going to forgive us, but we just need to not be such a crazy mix of energy or timing or responses that our dog goes, well, you're unpredictable, so I'm going to go ahead and take this on myself and get this done myself. So we don't need to make huge changes. It's amazing how small shifts change the outcome. So where are we? We want to keep this practical. Most failures aren't failures, but they're very predictable. Most times when I'm working with somebody, it kind of gets to be like, I know where this is going because the failure is a setup and it's very predictable about what's going to happen. We can see it coming. But setup is a skill that you can learn very quickly. And success starts way before the cue. So success is about the setup. So if we keep those things in mind, along with environment, timing, and structure, we've got ourselves a nice little package. It's starting to make sense. And that's why we created our basics framework, which is basics gives you humans a way to think before you act. So you stop putting your dog in these unwinnable situations. And I see it all the time. Best meaning, we just think our dogs are supposed to be able to figure it out. And they don't. So basics, if you're new, it's our framework, BASICS, bonding, awareness, synchronizing, instructing, coaching, success. So in these kinds of setup things, let's look at bonding. What it means in real life would be your dog choosing you over the environment, right? I'm the monkey on the front page. It doesn't start with obedience. It starts with trust and being relevant and really listening to your dog and building that mutual trust and respect. So awareness is, well, that's where tonight's entire presentation lives in awareness, because we are reading the environment, we're reading your dog, we're reading the moment. That's all about the setup. Synchronizing is in setup means what? Like you're meeting your dog where they are. It helps you both get in sync with each other, not just me waiting for my dog to get in sync with me. So it's that's not magic. Like synchronizing isn't magic. Your dog will do it, but they have to trust you, which is bonding. You have to be aware of the situation, of what's going on, and then we can sync up. And it gives you the lens to see our own movements and our own stress levels and how that can affect our dog, as well as our dogs affecting us. Instructing is really only giving cues when the brain's available. Otherwise, just leave the cues out and do our get out of dodge moves, A to B, nose touches, targets, get our dog home into a nice safe place until we can decompress, figure out what's next. And then because timing matters more than the repetition in cues, I don't care how many times you say sit, if it's at the wrong time, it just becomes wah, 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 wah. I watch this kind of thing happen all the time, instructing. We do our playground here in certain times of the year. Even when we do our workshops, there's always somebody who's just like, they want to just push their dog. And they're like, they know this. So they keep watching, like, tap, up, 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 up. I'm like, just let's stop. Your dog's not listening. They don't know it. So set it up differently. But they're like, no, they know it. They did it last time. Maybe, but they don't know the cue and they don't know what you're doing. So different setup. So that's the instructing piece on the setup is you're giving a cue, repeat, repeat, repeat. Coaching is, I said setup lives in awareness. It actually lives in coaching as well, because it's about adjusting your distance, your expectations, and you're supporting your dog in real time. And then success, obviously it's not about perfection. Success is creating wins with your dog, having a successful day. And watch your human brain with this one, because it's, boy, we look at a success and immediately go, yeah, but. So success is about the win, not the yeah, but he didn't do it this. Yeah, but he doesn't do it here. Yeah, but that was luck. He ran after a deer. He recalled. Yeah, but no, stop and get the success, get the win. Our human brains will look for doom and gloom quite a bit, and we're very successful at it. So tonight was really about awareness on the setup. And it's not fixing anything. We're just noticing where things start to fall apart. We're going to get to our Q&A for those of you that are live. And I want you to know that this, when it's on the YouTube channel, our YouTube channel is dedicated to teaching dogs and guardians the skills we all need to be confident when taking your dog out in public. And we'd be really, really grateful if you just check out our YouTube channel, which there should be a link coming up. Otherwise, just look for at Pub Dog Project. Not Pub Dog, but Pub Dog Project. That's where all of our free learning is going to be. So check out that channel, subscribe, and with your support, we can help more dogs and guardians. If you go inside Pause and Success, whether it's our basics or mastery level, we're really taking the same lens and applying it step by step across real life, not just training and classroom sessions. So that's where we are. Hope to see a lot of you more in the basics level for more live Q&A and learning. Otherwise, a lot of the Teaching Tuesdays will be posted on YouTube. I can't say all of them because some of them do remain for our members, but we got a lot of fun expert interviews coming up in basics too. And of course, mastery. Mastery is really where we look at diving in to the day-to-day, and we work a lot with humans and dogs that want to be a team, whether that's therapy, sport, working dogs, search and rescues. That's where we look at on a lot of the day-to-day behavior and have great conversations about the nuances of dog training. So until next time, remain calm, confident, and connected. I'm Heather Furby with Pause and Success and Castellina Canines. Y'all take care. We will see you soon. Thank you.